I'm Cole Haddon, and what you're about to listen to is a bonus episode from Season 1 of 5 a.m. Story Talk. In this podcast bonus eps, my guests break down a seminal piece of art from their lives, what I describe as mini masterclasses, although not always on the subject you expect. These bonus episodes are exclusive to my paid supporters in the season they were originally published. But in the following season, they're each unlocked, one at a time, so everyone can listen to them alongside the new episodes. Your paid subscriptions get you early access to these bonus eps, months and months early, but they also help keep the lights on here. In fact, Season 2 of this podcast enjoys several production upgrades because so many of you believe in this multimedia arts and culture conversation. I hope you consider becoming a paid supporter yourself, which you can learn more about in the show notes. Now, enjoy this 5 a.m. Story Talk bonus episode, Story Talkers. Welcome back to 5 a.m. Story Talk, and thanks for being a paid subscriber. Today's bonus episode wouldn't be possible without you. I'm here again with producers Erica and Blye Pagon Faust, and we'll be talking about how they know a project is right for them, the state and future of the Hollywood film TV industry, screenwriting with AI, good or bad, and a whole lot more. There's going to be so much for filmmakers at all stages of their careers to take from this conversation. You can find relevant links to this episode in the show notes too. Now, let's get into it. It's a question I'm sure is going to produce tangled answers, but I'm curious, how do you know when a project is right for you? What does that feel like when you read the script, when you make that decision? How are you picking your projects? Bly?
Sure. I mean, it has to be. I think we just know our brand now, and I can read something and be like, "This is awesome," but this is not. If I had like a John Wick type script that came across, I'd be like, "This is a fucking great romp, like a romp, a read, or whatever." But I don't know how to make this movie, so that's something I would not. But I know what we know how to make and what grabs. And I think the biggest thing is surprise. It just has to surprise me. It has to be something that, and feels like it has something to say in the current world. It doesn't have to be socially impacted. It doesn't have to be like you can go out there, and immediately make a difference. That's not what I'm saying. It just has to feel like it is of the moment and it's surprising. I think those are the two things that I've learned something. It makes me think. I have to think afterwards after I put it down. It has, the mind has to be going.
Yeah, I think it's similar to what you said is like, am I additive to this? Do I see the path? Do I know how to get this done? I think because I'm not in the business of like wanting to waste everyone's time or resources either. And so I think that's like number one. And yeah, it's like, what's the new news on it? Right? Like, especially action. Is it a world we haven't seen? Is it, Monkey Man's a good example. Like the story is simple. It's Vengeance Tale. Like many action movies before and after, but Dev as an action star was different. No one, he hadn't done action. Dev directing was different. He'd never directed a movie before. What is the setting? I mean, that movie had a lot of differences, but like, specific to like, how can we make it different? I don't want to try to my own, I don't on my own stuff. So I think that just stuff that's timely, I sometimes think about, I have 2 young kids, like what's something that they can maybe watch someday? I mean, there's lots of different factors.
I was gonna say when she just said the teen, because I thought you were gonna go with like, what is this something that would make me be okay to like leave my kids? Like that's part of my test too. Is like
Oh,
if I'm gonna
I
take time
mean,
away from my kids, is this worth it for me? That's one of the equations that goes in.
I think about that. I think about that more when like it's something is real. I mean, sort of not in like the perspective stage because it takes so long for that to actually happen. I think if someone called me and was like, if that's always the short term with me. It's like, can you go to the Berlin Film Festival in 2 weeks? Or can you go to Sundance tomorrow? Or can you go to Hong Kong for this meeting for 3 weeks? Or can you go do this movie someone said to me, can you go run a movie in China for 6 months? My answer is no, right? Like I can't. I don't run my life in a very nomadic way. I appreciate you guys have that sort of they always stay home. I do not bring them. I compartmentalize. Like they have their lives, they have their school, they have their stuff. So I just kill myself sort of going back and forth and like, does the production allow for that? Am I gonna have to pay out of pocket for that? Can the movie sustain if I leave? Can I bring someone younger with me? Or will Basil split the time with me? How are we gonna do it? I think about that all the time. But those are like my pipe dream problems or like my good problems to have, I say to Basil. He's always like, what if we have 4 movies at the same time? I'm like, Those would be really good problems to have. And that hasn't happened in a very long time. So, but nothing sticks. Nothing sticks. I tell you today what I think I'm going to be doing for the next 4 months. And I think we're doing no shot. So other things will swap in, but I don't.
So the film and TV industry has changed so much in the past 15 years. How have you been forced to adapt in that time? Do you want to start, Erica?
Yeah, I think currently it's about how do you make movies at a lower number. And so it's constantly like crunching the budgets. What I could use to make, also it's like it's the converse of like the movies have to cost less with bigger stars, and the cost of making them is grown exponentially. Like even in the last 2 years, I looked at budgets from 2 years ago, and lumber, and this is an example which is very boring for your listeners, has gone up 40%. Post strike, fringes are 23%. Everything is sort of like tightened. And for me, the hardest part is the middle is kind of gone in the moment. I was able to push a lot of movies through that were kind of left of center, like Dust Bunny, which is Mads Mikkelsen and a 9-year-old girl teamed up to kill a monster under this girl's bed because E1 financed it. Lionsgate was able to step up to more. I made Monkey Man through Brawn. There's, like you were talking about Participant earlier. There was this level in the middle that took risk and could finance. It doesn't really exist anymore. I mean, they're outliers for sure, but it's not as robust as it was. And so I feel like everyone just wants, a Jason Statham movie at a price point in my world. And there's only so many slots and so many actors and so many movies that can overpay Jason Statham in 1 year. And so that's the hardest part, I think, is how to actually like make the movie. And I think in a world where streamers were overpaying and now they're underpaying, but actors still want a certain degree of comfort post-strike, I thought it would be a free-for-all, like everyone would want to work again, and it has not been that. I think everyone is was a bit precious at the end of last year, sort of with their decision making. And so I'm hopeful that bounces back the other way. But yeah, those are sort of the roadblocks.
How about you, Blye?
Yeah, we really had been taking advantage of like the robust streaming space, that market, and that was how we were really looking to, or have been looking to finance our company. And that the scripted stuff, we like to joke, is really, we see it as our hobby. Just because of like the virtue of the kind of material that we make. It is that, prestige premium, and it's so hit or miss. And again, like you look at the number of things that we have set up with streamers and over the years, and you would have thought, just playing the numbers, that we would have been able to get one through by now. And this is not with, these are projects with, A-list stars and directors and that kind of stuff. And for whatever reason, we all know, we've all been there in Hollywood, the reasons that things fall apart, it has happened. So we've been really reliant on that previously robust doc, series market. And I think that's the question for us going forward, is now that we are not in that space anymore, what does it look like for us going forward? And we're asking, I think, a lot of questions about the kind of material that we're doing in that space, and both in scripted and in docs podcast. And I think we want to do stuff that is still premium and thoughtful, but we are not going to be idiots and not understand that there's been a market shift. And so we do need to, shift with that market too. So I think that's, we're trying to figure all of that out for 2025 and beyond.
Well, I guess that was my next question. What are the conversations you're having with yourself and your partners about the next 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? Do you just pretend at this point the future isn't happening and focus on the day and hope for the best? Or are you trying to prepare for things that the rest of us aren't paying as much attention to?
What is what Erica says too? I mean, I think one of the things, the question I always ask myself is knowing who your brand and who you are and what you know, and staying the course with that core to a certain degree, because the industry is cyclical, right? It bounces all over the place and things versus like trying to chase the thing of the moment, and then you're going back and forth, and you're always a little bit behind the 8 ball because you don't really know like what's coming next unless you really know like your lane. But I think but I don't know. I mean, whatever, is that it's staying in your lane, but being able to be flexible in terms of like around the margins of like what you're doing in your lane, and how you're doing it in terms of like whatever the budgets that you're playing with, or the medium in which you're like, you're immediately working, or for us to, if it's going to be premium, it's got to have, that really commercial overlay versus like trying to go for an indie drama, So I think it's those sorts of things, but I can't imagine me all of a sudden being like, action is working, I'm going to go do action like that. Then you're just chasing, and that to me doesn't seem like it works.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's a mix. I feel like you stay the course, right? Like, because the ball always sort of has to bounce back the other way. Like, of course, you're like, oh my God, how are we, we have no deal. And we're true independent producers, right? We don't have a deal anywhere. So we're like, I would say we're open for business. And I think you kind of have to be. And I was saying, someone today was like, oh, we love working with you guys because you're super nimble. Like, you understand the market, you understand, like, you got to, the market dictates the number, then you got to back into it, like, whatever, right? Like, never say never. So I'm cautiously optimistic. I think we're always going to need product. You're always going to need people who are like good at their job. And so I feel employable. Like, the beauty of the business is like, you always have your credits, right? Like, for the good or the bad, those are your legacy. And so, yeah, I just stay the course. I think, my husband works in TV. He works at a company who, when he started there, was 50 people. Now there's 4. I do not know what will happen there. And that's sort of scarier for me personally than my own seat. But yeah, I mean, if we don't make movies, you have to fire people. It's a give and take. We're coming off of a COVID to a double strike to now a fire. And I don't know what really will happen. We're a Santa Monica based company. Like, I don't, Baz lived in the Palisades for 10 years. He doesn't anymore, but like, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So yeah, you just got to like show up every day. And I think that's what sort of is drilled into me as a producer, is like, every day is completely different and is the wild, wild west. So what's going to happen today? And you just got to roll with it.
With friends, screenwriters, there's always this to some degree, I worry it's been drummed into us now to worry about the future because it's become a way to make us behave. That we're supposed to be afraid that our careers are going away, that movies aren't going to get made the same way, AI is coming along. Do you have any concern about any of the business going away in 5 or 10 years? And so are the rest of us experiencing a terror that you from the inside on your side of the business don't think about?
I mean, I will admit my ignorance with AI. I don't use it really to like the degree that I'm surrounded by everyone using it. So it's not that I don't think it's a thing. I don't really, I mean, a little bit here or there. We're like, get coverage on this book, or, like, what is, ask ChatGPT the top 3, Black actors on TV right now, whatever that is, right? Like, dabbling in that. I'm not worried about it like taking away my job, because I do so much sort of like hand holding and therapizing, and like there's so much human interaction to what I think I do, convincing, not convincing, like all day long, from like getting an actor on set to like coming out of the like all that, right? Like, is some bot going to do that? I don't know. Maybe script wise, I'm sure there'll be AI scripts, and I don't know. And maybe that will change. Maybe it will change the way that like price points exist. I don't know. I'm not. We're like a fear-mongered business though, right? Like, I don't know. I live in like guilt and fear as the neurotic Jew that I am, but I don't know.
I think people are fearful for change, for everything, right? Whether it's entertainment or whatever it is. And humans adapt. People are always going to want to be entertained. So okay, if AI is coming along, like, I agree with you. Like, I mean, we're gonna have to learn how to work with it, right? And it's the people who are gonna learn how to best wrangle it and use it and work with it and manage it and produce it and whatever. Okay, that's just the way it's gonna be. But I think there's always gonna be a place for the person who is the producer, who is wrangling the entire production and wrangling people and idea and putting the whole thing together. I agree. I just can't see that certainly in any, near future. And by the way, then if you do have a bot or a robot who can do all those things, then go be the person who manages the entire stable of robots and how they all get along, or whatever it is. I don't know. Like, there's
I'll
always
send
gonna
the
be a
bot to
feeling
Hong Kong and I'll stay home and go to the fourth,
Exactly.
the first grade play. I'm fine with that.
Exactly.
With AI, Now you hear about professors. They read some essay and they think, oh, Chat GPT wrote this, and somebody gets kicked out of school as a result. How would you feel if you suspected that the script you're reading was half written by AI at this point in the game? Would you lose respect for the writer if you found that out?
I mean, like, didn't I use Cliff Notes when I was in college? Like, I don't know. I'm like, what I've don't people like don't everyone cheat on their phone? The kids cheat on their phone. Like, I don't think I would lose respect for them. I think pure genius is pure genius, right? I can't imagine is an AI gonna write like 8 episodes of Ripley? Like, I don't know. I guess I just haven't really thought it through, but
Mm.
And then the person who had to prompt the AI to do that, like, okay, great, maybe there's some genius in them, right? To be able to actually get it to do that at
and
this point,
edit
like,
it and then
yeah,
like
yeah.
reshape it. Isn't that like I'm sure in writing teams, like I'm not in one, but I'm sure one does a lot of the heavy lifting and the other one, I don't know. Like, I don't know.
I think art's gonna come from all kinds of places. Yeah.
So many people, aspiring screenwriters, still ask me, how do you break in the business today? And I'm still left telling them to write that great writing sample and go try to get an agent. But I'm curious, is that I know how I met YouTube because I did that, and agents set us up on generals. Is that still how you're finding the writers that you're working with today, or is that through peer interaction instead?
I
Way
still
that
get a
we're
ton of
using.
stuff from reps. I still get like and sometimes it goes to like my junior executives and then if it's great it gets filtered to me, but I think we personally still get a ton of material that way.
And we do. I mean, we do too. I mean, I think, but we also get a lot through. I think I work with the same people a lot over and over again too. So it's like having been at it for a while. You go back to the same well, and then through like other producers we work with, other executives. I think I get a lot of people like that way as well, just because who has the same taste and trust each other and all that. But yeah, no, I think for writers breaking into the business, you definitely still need at least a manager to get you. I think to get you
Yeah.
seen, to start getting you out there. Yeah. And help you strategize, yeah.
I think the business has just changed. We all met. Well, I met you to 2008 to 2010, and it's such. It feels like such a different world. But I also sometimes wonder if that's just because I grew up. Uh, to what degree is it that we were younger, had fewer, we didn't have children. I think Bly, you were probably right on the edge of it. You and Erica, you and I are more overlapping at that point, but the business felt different, both in how it operated, how easy it was to set things up. But we were also younger. When you look back over those 15 years, do you, is some of it nostalgia at this point, or have we just grown up?
I think it's probably a mix. I mean, I think there's definitely like pluses, right? Like you could never live in Australia probably and do what you're doing or not. Like Basil could have never moved to Jersey and
Mm.
like operated the way that we do, right? And so like that's a plus. We wouldn't be on a podcast. I think there's a flexibility within that. I think you probably always look back. Like I look back to high school and I was like, oh God, why did I it's like the classic like why did I think I was fat then? Whatever that version is, or I had it so good. Why did I think I was tired then? I didn't have kids. I didn't fucking know what tired was. So I think you sort of always look backwards in life. I definitely like think it was a simpler time to a degree. But I kind of look at it. I said to someone the other day, it's like if you can in this town survive the last 5 years, right? Because I don't really know what will happen post fire. We're like pretending we're gonna be normal, but like I don't know. Cream always rises. So we'll see. We're still kicking. We're still kicking.
Bly?
Yeah, but yeah, it's different. I don't know. That's an interesting question. I mean, I definitely times were different. We were running around a lot more in person. I think there was at that time as an independent producer, that we had more things at the studios. That was a time when we could actually like us, my partner then at the time, Nicole Rock, we sold comedies to studios. Like what? You can't do that anymore, unless you're a certain small like set. So it was, yeah, it was fun. It was different. And we were running around to a lot of in-person meetings, a lot of probably wasted time, frankly. That was, by the way,
Yeah.
that's another big thing I've learned over the years. Like, seriously, don't run around like meeting everyone under the sky. Like just get the work done.
You don't need to have drinks every night. You don't need to like, I'm glad I did it back then, but a lot
Totally
of fluff.
agree. Lot of fluff. And so I don't know if people young, as are doing it as much now because you can Zoom and because there's, people are less in the office. I don't know at that level, but that's different. And like you just said, though, it has fundamentally changed my life because even when pre-pandemic I live in the Bay Area, lived in LA and then, and it was in Southern California for a long time, then moved up here. I would suggest to some people like, well, maybe we could Zoom. And it was like, oh, a big kerfuffle. And like, okay, we have to get the conference room and I got to figure out how to do this and whatever. And then, it was a huge deal. Like I was in position to ask anybody to Zoom and then COVID happened and it was a game changer. And I was thrilled that I didn't have to fly back and forth all the time anymore. And the fact that I could go live in Australia for the year. So yeah, it's very different in that respect. And I think you can be more flexible. You can live where you want to live. You can have a family. It's sort of like you can make your own adventure in a way that you could not before.
As a screenwriter who had left LA, during COVID, I would have Zooms with people and see them sitting in their backyards, hearing birds singing around them. And I thought, oh, COVID did something a little right. That it taught people that you don't have to have people come to the office to give them 45 minutes of notes. The video's just fine. You've already sold the project and set it up. People don't have to drive 2 hours across town. I mean, by 2015, I was living in Beachwood Canyon and my reps would say, oh, they want to meet in Venice. And I would think, I don't know if I like the odds of this producing work.
It would be a half day. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not worth it. And at 4:00 in the afternoon, no, I don't want to be a prima donna here, but no, I'm not doing that. What I miss most from that period was the magic where you would have a random lunch and you would bring up something absolutely you hadn't even fleshed it out. And you get a call 2 hours later that you have to come in and talk to their boss. And 2 days later, you're sitting in an office in Warner Brothers and just sold
Yeah,
a
you're not
project.
riffing on Zoom usually. It's,
No,
and I think
no.
there's Zoom fatigue and there was also the like, if you were going to Beachwood, you wouldn't have made any other meetings that day, but what we tend to do is like, oh, I have another thing in 20 minutes. It's like and so it's more transactional. Yeah, I'm always like lunch because now I get in a rhythm where I don't really do a lot of that, but I'm always happy when I do it. I'm always happy when you like can run into 3 other people. Like you can sort of get business done too. And there is a different bonding with someone in person. I do think that shared experience, which yeah, if you really want to meet the person or you think it's going to be a lasting relationship or it's a studio, like whatever that is, I think it's smart to do. But the geography is so fucking hard now. You're like, where do you live and where do you work and where do you live and where do you work? And like, can the twain meet,
In the UK, when I moved to London, I started realizing that everybody was living in such different places. What if we meet in a park and our general is coffee, walking?
Yeah.
COVID actually made that such a possibility that it
Yeah.
still confuses people that I want to do my notes chat while just wandering around a park. But it is so much more, such a better experience. Well, one last question before we wrap up. But given how dramatically the business has changed, are you still having as much fun, even if it's different? Is it still as much fun as it was 15 years ago?
I don't know if it's as much fun. I think, the wins are bigger when you sort of can push it through. It's still fun. I would always say that this business was like 90% really like shit and 10% fun, right?
Mhm.
Like every day is like work, right? Every day I'm making a movie, like the 16 hours you're on set, there's like maybe 10 minutes of something that like really interesting that happens or that you capture on screen. And so it's always sort of been that blend. I think, yeah, it's not as fun for me, but I still don't know what else I'd be doing. And I still think I still love it. It's still like satisfying.
Yeah, I would agree. I think creatively, 100%. I think financially, just looking at this, the way that the business is going, that's not fun, right? Like that's like the not fun part is trying to run a business like when, things are going the way that they're headed right now. But the creative is still fun. And the people that you work like that's all fun. Yes.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Still my favorite parts, the writing and the relationships. The ability to have a successful career is more challenging.
But
Yeah.
like the opportunity, every time I open a script, like, could it be my next franchise? Could it be the next, like you never fucking know.
Yeah.
And that's the
Yep.
beauty of it.
Yeah, there's a thrill in it still. I still have it.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much for the time. This has been a treat. It's been great catching up with both of you.
You too.
Likewise.
So nice to meet you,
Yes, great
Blye.
to-
If you're ever in LA,
Likewise.
let's get a coffee.
I would love that.
Yeah.
All right.
Perfect. I hope to see you both next time I'm in LA.
All right. Talk soon.
As for you listening, thanks again for your support of 5 a.m. Story Talk. If you have any questions about this bonus episode, jump into the comments with them. I'll do my best to answer them. I'll see you next time.